Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to be checking out the MSI 27 1QPX monitor, and we're going to be seeing what it is, how it is to use, and if I think you should buy one. All that soon to come, but if you guys could please hit those like and subscribe buttons, it would really help me out as a small channel. And with all that out of the way, let's get into this. Okay, so starting out with what even is this thing? And basically, it's 27-inch 1440p monitor, and it comes in either 360Hz or 240Hz. The version I have to review today is the 360Hz version, but I have slowed it down to 240 and just checked that out as a comparison. In general, it's got a pretty standard form factor. It's got relatively thin bezels. It does have basic compatibility, so you can use your own monitor mount. It doesn't have any speakers, and it does have 2 HDMI, 1 DisplayPort, and 1 USB-C port for inputs. It also does have a headphone out jack. And that's pretty much the basics of what this thing is. So now let's get into the important part. How does it look? How is it to use? And do I think you should buy one? So starting out with the most unique feature this thing has, which is its OLED panel. I'll start right out with, it does look pretty awesome. The contrast ratio is incredibly strong and it's still pretty bright. So I think that there's no real issue there. The panel looks amazing. I'm not able to do any sort of Adobe RGB like color spectrum tests. You probably should go to someone who's more technical than me for that. I'm more interested in like how is it to use, and after spending all this money on it, do I think it was worth it? So that's kind of where my review is going to come from. But I do think that the colors do look amazing, especially even next to my VA panel, which also has pretty good colors. I think it looks great. I will say that there are some issues with the panel. So one, it is a glossy panel, so it's very reflective, and I tend to just be annoyed by that. I'm more of a matte panel type of person, so be aware of that. This is more getting into the on-screen display, which in general is pretty great. It's got a little joystick in the back and it's got an on-off button. It does everything it really should as an on-screen display. But in order to prevent burn-in on the OLED panel, it has this thing that like refreshes the panel and it comes up every so often. And I don't mind that in general. I'm more than happy to let it do its thing if it needs to. But there is no way to delay that process. So if it decides it's happening, basically it wants to have it happen then. And if you like turn it off and turn it back on to try to avoid the menu or just try to cancel out of the menu, it doesn't care. It'll just, when you turn it back on, it'll come back up. And I think that there needs to be a way, at least occasionally, for you to be able to delay the process, because that's annoying. And it seems like that Windows thing where it just randomly force updates. This thing is no better, and it just force turns off and on. And the best part is it doesn't even like unrecognize itself from the PC. So if you had something on that monitor and it decides it's time to refresh itself, it's now hidden on that monitor and you can't see it. So I don't know. I think that process could just be improved dramatically. But those are kind of nitpicks, and obviously I can't speak to the long-term burn-in of this panel. But for using it day to day, I think that text is incredibly crisp. I think that the response time is super fast, and the 360 Hz is really cool too. I will say that I'm not the most discerning gamer probably, but I can't really tell the difference between 240 and 360. Like, it is cool for sure, and like, I don't know, this is my opinion. I think if you said that it was 360 and it wasn't 360, I just day-to-day playing could not tell the difference. And I think that there's also been some testing on other channels that are probably more official than mine that show that it's kind of a point of diminishing returns. I think I only ended up getting it because I think it was like $80 more at the time. But that's another thing, kind of getting into should you buy this thing, is the price of these things seems to jump around a bunch. I don't know. For instance, when I bought mine, it was only like $590, and then now when I look on the same website, because I bought mine on Newegg, it's now like $700. So keep that in mind and definitely shop around for the best deals, because I think that the price of these things does tend to kind of fluctuate. Getting back to the use of the actual monitor though, I think in general, it is a very good product. I will say I'm not sure it's worth the price, but if you really want an OLED panel, I think that this thing does a great job. It's got bright, vibrant colors. It's got a really good response time. It does have the 360 Hz or 240, depending on which version you go with. And I think that if you're just looking for a panel with great stats at like a relatively low price, okay, maybe not relatively low, but it's definitely lower than it used to be. Like, I know that a while ago when my friends had one, and it was like $1,000 to get it, and now it's come down to like 600, which is a lot. But if you're kind of an early adopter when it comes to technology, I think that it'd be more than within your budget, depending on, of course, who you are. But yeah, kind of roping it into the conclusion here, I think that overall, It's a pretty solid product. It does what it says it does. It does a good job, and I think I haven't had any real issues with it so far other than that weird on-screen display issue. So if that's what you're interested in, I definitely think you should pick one up. There's going to be a link in the description if you end up wanting one. But just definitely keep it in mind that you're at the point of diminishing returns, I believe. Like, I think that if you're not super invested in like checking out new OLED panels on your monitor, I really don't think that this is far from the price to performance perfection point, I think. And as long as you're well aware of that going into it, I don't think you'll be disappointed. So thank you guys so much for checking out this review. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw those in the comment section, and I'll do my best to respond to those. But that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe, as that really does help me out as a small channel. But thanks, and I'll see you next time.